Hey, here we are, Sportsbet, betting inside today. Pauly and Teddy weekend preview edition, Game 1, ALCS, Astros and Yankees. And we'll get to the Sunday night game, Giants and Broncos, Patriots and Jets. In big game breakdown, go over a couple NFL games before we get out of here. We'll get to what happened last night with the Nats and poor Dusty Baker with another play of the day winner. Last night, another road team won on Thursday Night Football. For the fourth time already this year, they bet the Eagles and the under. They took money. They got it half right. Wentz was terrific again, becoming a superstar in this league. Eagles are 5-1, and their next three games are at home. They play the Redskins next Monday night. Nice win on the road as they get force a couple turnovers and pick off Cam Newton and get the stops they needed, even though they had struggled without Lane Johnson. That is now 3-8 the last 2 years without Johnson as they win. Big V held up at right tackle.
Yeah, both sides of the football. Let's give Philly credit. The defense, as you mentioned, created the turnovers that they needed to create, two scoring drives that began inside the Panthers' 20-yard line. And the offense with Carson Wentz looked really good last night, moving up and down the field against a Panthers defense that had ranked among the best in the NFL. So certainly an impressive win for Philadelphia, a win for the Eagles that is likely to significantly affect their power rating moving forward. And it continued. You know, I was talking to people around town here in Vegas yesterday, Paul. Everyone kept on telling me, oh, you know, the home team on Thursday night. Oh, the trend is the home team on Thursday night. I don't know where that trend is bouncing around from. So far this season, road teams on Thursday night. Let's see. The Chiefs won at New England week 1. Houston won at Cincy week 2. LA won at San Fran week 3. The Pats won at Tampa week 5. And Philly won at Carolina week 6. So the Green Bay win and cover in week 4. They're the only home team to do that on a Thursday night game this year, whatever the long-term trends are for Thursday night football. The short-term trend in 2017 is these road teams are getting the job done.
A game that ended at 12:45 in the morning on the East Coast. The Cubs win 9-8. They move on to the NLCS against the Dodgers. It was the 5-year anniversary when the Nats blew a 6-0 lead in Game 5 and lost to the Cardinals. 4 of the last 6 years, they've won the division and been bounced in the first round of the playoffs. In 3 of the 4, they lost Game 5 at home. The Cubs had 5 singles, 4 doubles. They were 1 of 11 with runners in scoring position, yet somehow they scored 9 runs. Washington pitchers walked Chicago batters 6 times. Favorites now 15-4 in the playoffs. Cubs win.
That was an epic Game 5. You know, it really was. There was everything in that contest. But the early money came on the Nats as the markets reacted to the fact that Scherzer was likely to see time in that game, that it wasn't going to be Gio the whole way. The late money came for the Cubs and the under. The under money was dead real early in that contest. Books made out with all the under tickets in a game that flew over the total. Both teams went over the total by themselves. But from a side perspective, mixed results for the books. But the bottom line, this was a crazy game, absolutely crazy. But we cash our ticket for the Cubs to win the series. We cash our ticket for the Cubs to win Game 5. So good result for us here on Sportsbet. And the play of the days have been really good here in October.
Keep throwing Edwards, man. See where that'll get you. I can't believe how bad that Cubs bullpen is. And he gets a 7-out save out of Wade Davis, who was awesome. He's only blown 1 save the entire season. Although what happens now, there's reports it could be Quintana Saturday night. Maybe it's going to be Lackey. See what the Cubs do and see what that series price. I imagine the Dodgers will be $2, something like that, with the series price coming up Game 1 Saturday night. Pros versus the Chos.
Did you see that great quote from Joe Madden? Paul, there's a great quote from Joe Madden about the Wade Davis and the 44 pitches that he got on Wednesday night. So he's not, I don't even know if he's going to be ready for Game 1. But Madden's quote, I was prepared to use Wade for 6, but what's the difference between 6 and 7 outs, right? I thought it was a hilarious quote. Davis struggled, but he got the job done in the 9th inning, and that's all that mattered if you had a Cubs ticket in your pocket.
All right. You had to jump in to get that quote. I don't think that you paid off the listeners with that quote. You teased it, and it wasn't that good. All right, pros against the Joes. Pros 17-4 year-to-date, 4-0 last week. Falcons, Saints, Chiefs, and Broncos taking money. Falcons off the bye, getting healthy. Beasley and Jones coming back. Miami averaging 10 points per game. Pablo Escobar quit after the snorting a white substance on a table that he sent to his Vegas model friend, if we want to call her that. So that's where you're seeing some money with the pros who've been crushing it so far.
Yeah, I mean, the pros have gotten the job done all season long, and certainly this week. Something a little bit of a surprise when we're talking about a couple of double-digit favorites in Atlanta and Denver, both taking sharp money. You say, do the Sharps ever lay double digits in the NFL? They have this week, not once, but twice. We're seeing Saints money. The Lions' season-long stats aren't very good, and the markets are reacting with some anti-Detroit. We saw some anti-Detroit last week as well. Drew Brees and the Saints, of course, coming in off the bye. They're taking money. And Kansas City against Pittsburgh, if you've been watching the Chiefs from day one, there's no question right now, Kansas City power rate #1 in the NFL. Certainly the wise guys, very interested in the Chiefs side against Pittsburgh, even though the Steelers carry a reputation as being a top-notch squad.
All right, the public on Green Bay laying 3 at Minnesota. Looks like it's Rodgers against Keenum. The Lions, be careful when the public's on a dog. Stafford's banged up, playing on one leg. Saints trying to have a winning record for the first time in, I think it's 1,800 days. Can you believe that? Buccaneers taking money against Arizona on the road. And the Broncos, there was a $50,000 bet, minus 11.5 at the South Point here in Vegas. Denver taking money. I don't know how the Giants are going to score. We'll get to this game later on.
Yeah, and of course the Broncos, if you notice, Broncos are on the pros, Broncos are on the Joes. There will be a lot of liability for the sports books on Denver on Sunday night. The books will be rooting for the New York Football Giants to somehow hang or within the number. And there is one split. Pros like the Saints, Joes like the Lions. The pro-Joe split so far this season, I believe every one has gone in favor of the pros.
Big game breakdown up next. Game 1 tonight, ALCS. It's Tanaka against Keuchel. Game 1 price, series price, straight ahead, and 3 NFL games on SportsBit. Betting insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
We're back on SportsBit Betting Insight today. Big game breakdown. Always sponsored and powered by BetOnline. Exceptional customer service, strong promotions, and every type of wager you're looking for. Tonight, 5 o'clock Pacific, Game 1 ALCS. Yankees against the Astros. Tanaka against Keuchel, series price at William Hill. Houston's $1.75. Game 1 at BetOnline. The Astros are $155. 8 the total, over minus 120. Game 2 will be Severino and Verlander. Then CC goes in Game 3. And then Sonny Gray, although I wouldn't be surprised if they bump him too. All the mighty have fallen with Sonny Gray. They thought there'd be a big acquisition at the deadline. Girardi might not even use him here. The key here has been the home run ball. It's been the long ball in the American League with these teams. Home run leaders, Yankees #1, Astros #2. Home runs allowed, Yankees and Astros tied for 10th, but a big bullpen edge to the Yankees. If you throw up this graphic, Yankees #3 in ERA, Astros were 17th. Fielding independent pitching, Yankees 2nd, Astros 6th, and WAR, Yankees #1, Astros #8. They pitched well against the Red Sox. Giles a good closer. They did a pretty good job in that series. But it comes down to, can the Yankees slow down this potent Houston offense?
Yeah, and really, that's the base handicap of the series. I'm not convinced that the Yankees can. But going back to what you were talking about with the home run leaders, we're talking about teams that are 1 and 2 in Major League Baseball in home runs, but you have a pair of pitching staffs that have been decent, both ranked tied for 10th in not allowing a ton of homers. And let's go back to that bullpen chart one more time, because this is key. How big is the bullpen edge? The Yankees' bullpen edge was pretty, even against Cleveland, who was right there with them. The Yankees had the better pen in the first round. So here you look at the ERA, you say, wow, the Yankees are #3, the Astros are #17. Yeah, but you start to look at the advanced metric stats, and all of a sudden Houston's bullpen gets a whole lot better. #6 in FIP, #8 in WAR. There is an edge for the Yankees, but perhaps it's not as big of an edge as some people might think. Now, when we look at Dallas Keuchel, Keuchel might be the right matchup to keep the Yankees in the park. We talk about all the home run hitters. His career numbers at Minute Maid are outstanding. 36 and 21 with a 2.94 ERA. He's only allowed 0.6 home runs per 9 innings. 35 dingers allowed in more than 500 innings worth of work on this field. The Yankees don't have a ton of experience against him. 108 career plate appearances. And when you look at the numbers, well, the New York Yankees lineup have not hit Dallas Keuchel particularly well. So for the Astros, they have the right pitcher, a guy who doesn't give up dingers and has fared well against this lineup. Well, I think that's a good sign for a Houston team that is very, very potent on the offensive side of the ball.
And they've got nothing from Judge so far. Tanaka gets the ball for the Yankees, who had an average season at 13-12 with a 4.74 ERA. Stumbled down the stretch, and then the last two games, where'd this come from? In the final regular season start against Toronto, 7 innings, no runs, 15 strikeouts, and no walks. In Game 3 against Cleveland, 7 innings, no runs, 7 strikeouts. Last two games, 14 innings, 22 strikeouts, 6 hits, and a walk. He's been terrific. Maybe they get 6 and 7 out of him, 6 or 7 innings. You turn it over to Robertson or Chapman. Very important. I don't think Girardi can't have any confidence in Betances. He struggled, and he was bad in Game 4 when he walked 2 hitters, and Girardi didn't even use him in Game 5 when it was a bullpen game.
Yeah, and when we talk about a bullpen game and you're not using one of the key guys throughout the course of the season, that clearly indicates a lack of confidence. So going back to those bullpen stats again, maybe the Yankees pen not quite as good as the stats will show with Betances in miserable current form.
Game number 2, Patriots and the Jets, first place on the line. How about that? Bet online, New England 9.5, 47.5 on the road. Jets 3-2, but now people are taking them seriously as they're on a 3-game winning streak. And I never thought McCown would have a 3-game winning streak. I would have lost a lot of money on this. Their win total here at the South Point in Vegas was 3. They've already tied that. How have they done it? Some luck, but also facing the right competition. Season passer ratings from the QBs the Jets have beat: Bortles 26, Cutler 30, Kaiser 32, and he's been benched this week. Now you're going against Brady, who's number 2. Despite 3-2 on the season, they've been outgained by 26 first downs and 269 yards.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Jets are 3-2. Yes, the Jets may not win another game this season. You look at their schedule, and it's going to be tough for them in every remaining contest. And you say, oh, wow, this team's tied for first place. Oh, my God, the Jets. Settle down, Beavis. It's going to be a long season. And, of course, when you face the Jags coming back from London without a bye, and then you face Miami, who hadn't been at home for 5 weeks, and then you get to face the worst team in the NFL in Cleveland, get outgained by a 2-1 margin in that contest, but avoid the mistakes that plagued your opponent, you could win 3 games in a row in the NFL. You look at the Jets' schedule, they won't be favored in any game, and they may not win another game this season. You talked about the fact they've been outgained by 26 first downs and nearly more than 250 yards on the campaign. But one guy who's been pretty good, let's call it how we see it, Josh McCown's been pretty good. Even Bill Belichick sees it. Here's a quote from Belichick on what has impressed him about McCown. Everything: leadership, toughness, accuracy, decision-making. He does a very good job of handling the team, takes advantage of defensive mistakes. He's played very well. A lot of respect for him. Clearly, Belichick not giving the Jets any bulletin board material to work with.
The Jets are starting 2 rookie safeties, cause for concern there. Jamal Adams on going against Brady. Quote, it's an opportunity of a lifetime. Crazy opportunity for me, a dream come true, get to play against Brady. Everything I saw when I was a fan, everything I see on watching film as a player going against him. I can't believe what Brady's doing. Not that he's at 40 years old. It's Edelman out for the year, Gronk in and out of the lineup. You trade for Cooks, you trade for Dorsett, and he's got 11 touchdowns and 1 interception, and he's averaging 340 yards passing per game, 8.7 yards per pass, also a career best. He's a big reason why they have a winning record, as they're 3-2 in their historically bad defense. Cooks, 21 yards per catch, and you also getting Hogan involved as well, so Brady's spreading around. Much ado about nothing, missed practice, the bad shoulder, big deal. He said, I'll be there Sunday. Don't worry about that. I will be there. And the perspective growing on the Patriots defense, having a down season, but a result of the opponents, difficulty of offensive opponents, Football Outsiders, New England #1, the Jets 30th. How about that information? That's a great stat from our stat guy. Good info there.
No question. And when you're talking about early season stats, strength of schedule is paramount. You're going to see all kinds of talking heads on TV giving you really bad statistical information because they're not going to factor in any strength of schedule issues. The Patriots have faced one good offense after the next. That's a big part of the reason why that defense has looked so ugly through the first 5 weeks of the campaign. Although they certainly played better working with the zones last week, Meanwhile, the Jets haven't faced anybody on the offensive side. Weak offenses. So, yeah, the records are the same. The quality of opposition is not. Be sure to temper your enthusiasm for whatever stats you find with a little bit of a look at some strength of schedule comparisons.
Up next, Steelers and Chiefs. Revenge for Kansas City. And the Sunday night game could get ugly. The Giants and the Broncos in the play of the day on SportsBet. Betting insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.
Final go-round on SportsBet. Betting insight today, Pauly and Teddy. Big game breakdown rolls on. Always sponsored and powered by BetOnline. Steelers and Chiefs. BetOnline number, Chiefs 4.5, 46.5 the total. The revenge angle. And after what happened last year in the playoffs, Dave Wanstead said if you mention the word retirement, you're already gone. That could be what's going on with Ben. See, can he bounce back, or is he just too old? The key has been the offense over the years with Pittsburgh, but Ben completing 16% accuracy rate on passes more than 20 yards down the field. He goes from being one of the best to dead last. Roethlisberger went off on the media. I have 2 Super Bowls, 100 and some wins. I've been playing this game longer than you've been covering it. We're still atop the AFC North. We're right there in the hunt in the AFC. I think you guys are much more panicked than we are. As you can see, I'm not shaken by last week and nervous or worried. It's inexcusable. This offense has struggled the entire season. Horrible game plan last week for by Haley. They were going against the worst run defense in the league, and they threw the ball over 50 times. And with Roethlisberger, I guess he was joking, but he actually said after the game, I don't know if I still have it anymore. Maybe he was serious because it looks that way.
I mean, it's not just one bad game for Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, one thing is, all right, hey, you threw a career high in interceptions, just, wipe it off. No. This is a steady, gradual decline from a guy who in 2015 was guiding the most potent offense in the NFL, averaging 8 yards per pass. Last year, significant decline, nearly a full yard per pass less. This year, another full yard per pass less. He's at his career low right now in yards per pass. So much for Pittsburgh's offensive weapons downfield. They haven't been there so far for Big Ben, and that's clearly an issue. And it's not just Big Ben, obviously. When Mike Tomlin looks at this watch, you wonder if he's a little bit late for his own job as well. No one's going to say that Mike Tomlin's done a good job coaching so far this season. Although the Steelers' defense, there's potential that might be legit. It wasn't like they gave up the one long run to Fournette last week. But other than that, and that was with less than 2 minutes on the clock. Other than that, only gave up 223 total yards, despite all of the bad situations that defense or the offense put them in with the turnovers. They had their full starting 11 that they expected from training camp on the field for the first time last week. It's a healthy defense, as healthy as you'll find in the NFL right now. And it's defense that Pittsburgh has put a lot of resources into, both in terms of draft capital and free agent capital in recent seasons.
Chiefs, the real deal. Offense number 1 across the board. Football Outsiders, pass efficiency, rush efficiency. And look at the resume. They played New England, Philly, Washington, and the Texans. Alex Smith enjoying the weapons around him. Yards per pass in Kansas City. You look at this graphic. 6.5 to 7, 7.4, 7.2, and now 8.8 this year. Leads the NFL in completion percentage, interception percentage, yards per pass, and passer rating. But what will change on Sunday? Kelsey, full participant Thursday, looked like he'll be able to go. Wilson, sprained knee, see if he goes. Remember, Conley's out for the year. Tyreek Hill banged up with a hammy, added to the injury list on Thursday. So with him dinged up, that could be a big issue there as well, something to follow with the Chiefs in these offense, although it looks like Kelsey's going to give it a go, but Hill would be a big loss if he can't play.
All these guys are big losses. When you're talking about a quarterback who consistently averages in the 7 yards per pass attempt range, and all of a sudden he's at 8.8, and his team is number 1 in the NFL, looking at the advanced metric numbers in both running and passing, yeah, when all your weapons are banged up, it's likely to matter. Alex Smith hasn't thrown an interception this season. That interception rate that is number 1 in the NFL is 0.0. The yards per pass, number 1 in the NFL. The completion percentage, nearly 77%, number 1 in the NFL. The passer rating, just shy of 126, number 1 in the NFL. So when Kelsey's in concussion protocol, when Albert Wilson's dealing with a sprained knee, when Tyreek Hill has a bad hamstring, when Conley ruptures Achilles, you add all that up, that's a lot of playmakers that may not be on the field and or may not be at 100% for an offense that has overachieved in early season play.
Sunday Night Football, it's a shame. Giants stink, and they're on prime time all the time. Denver's 11.5, 38.5 at BetOnline. Man, that total's dropped big time. 40.5 was available a couple days ago. Thanks to BetOnline. Check out the bonus page, sportsbookreview.com. We've never seen anything like this before. Beckham, Marshall, Harris, all done for the year. Wide receivers, Sterling Shepard's doubtful. The last drive against the Chargers, when they needed a touchdown to win the game, they had Roger Lewis and a couple tight ends out there, and they were throwing to running backs. On the current depth chart, Lewis, King, Rudolph, and Egan, those are their wide receivers, all undrafted. Lewis has 15 career catches. King has 4. That's what Eli's working with. And you wonder if McAdoo's lost the locker room. DRC suspended indefinitely. They're 0-6 since the boat trip, too. Disaster. They won 11 games, and now they might win 2 or 3 games. They might have to take a quarterback in a draft next year.
Yeah. And again, this game is setting up like a bookmaker nightmare. The pros are on Denver. The Joes are on Denver. I don't know there's a price that you're going to see a whole lot of Giants money coming in, because from a straight handicapping perspective, I can't see how the Giants move the score in this ball game. I mean, you can't picture your head, say, okay, what's the scenario? How do the Giants move the football? You know, again, last week in that final drive, they need a score to win. Oh, well, let's see. You have an undrafted Roger Lewis and 3 tight ends. There's no receivers. You know, Roger Lewis, Tavares King, Travis Rudolph, and Ed Egan, guys that are coming up from the practice squad, guys being signed off the street. Not only do they lack talent, there's no experience there playing with Eli Manning. They have a grand total of 2 practices to figure things out. And, oh, by the way, let's not forget, the Giants running back core may well be the weakest in the NFL. And their offensive line has stunk all year. So you have no receivers, no running backs, no offensive line, and a head coach who's under a little bit of fire right now. I'm with you, Pauly, about McAdoo. I'm not convinced Ben McAdoo still has full control over the Giants locker room.
Problems on defense, too, as we mentioned, Rogers Cromartie suspended. Vernon's out. Collins didn't practice on Wednesday. So we'll see in 2 weeks maybe if they fire McAdoo during the bye week, although they said he's safe and no problems there. And the Giants don't fire coaches in the middle of the season. This would be one that would make sense. Now the wide receivers stink, and they have to go up against Talib and Harris. Probably it's certainly the best cornerback cover combo out there. The rush defense has improved big time for Denver, allowing 50 yards per game and 2.4 yards per carry. The 50.8 yards per game is number 8 all time in the NFL after 4 games in the season. Chris Harris likes what better rush defense means for the DBs. Quote, they're not really attacking us. It's just that they can't run the football anymore, so they get more passing attempts. We're getting up on teams. They have to play 2-minute offense. We're taking that run away. They're going to have to get way more attempts, and turnovers are going to start skyrocketing. He thinks we like Simeon, like the offense. Vance Joseph, he put us in great plays, and his ball placement's been really good. His interceptions haven't been ball placement issues. It's been throwaways, tip balls, and those things. He's played well. Young quarterback, still going to play better and get better each week. I think the bad performance in Buffalo, he got dinged up and concussed in that third quarter against Buffalo. 2 horrible decisions, but Simeon's had a good year as well. They've had issues in the fourth quarter, though. You think there's something to that here that plays into the game?
And that's my biggest concern. When you're talking about laying double digits in the NFL, all right, I need 3 things to lay double digits in the NFL. I need a favorite who is appropriately motivated. Okay. I need a defense that can get stops when it matters in the fourth quarter, and I need an offense that I'm comfortable can get to 30. You know, it's more than 4 touchdowns. Well, Denver's got the defense. I'm not worried about the Giants coming through the back door. But coming off a win and a bye, that's not an optimal motivational spot. And the Broncos have been outscored 30-7 in the fourth quarter this year. That offense hasn't worked during crunch time. I have my concerns about Denver covering the numbers simply because I don't know that Simeon and the offense are at that level just yet to be putting their foot down and stomping opponents when they have them on the floor.
Money time play of the day, back to New England and the Jets. What do you want to do?
No, let's take a look at game number 253. Yeah, We're laying the road chalk with New England this week, minus 9.5, the current number. If you shop around, you can find a little bit better, but be sure to get down earlier rather than later. I don't want this game going to 10 on you. Patriots, minus 9.5. Belichick and Matt Patricia went to work before the Tampa game. They added some zone coverage. Good coaches fix problems. This New England defense is going to keep getting better, and the Jets offense, not so much. It's the weakest offense New England has faced all season. The Pats have had point spread problems against the Jets in the past. Not this time. Take New England, minus the 9.5 against the Jets. Expect them to win by double digits. That's our play of the day.
All right, there it is. Another fun week of shows. We're back Monday, our favorite show. We recap everything from NFL and college and ALCS and NLCS on Sportsbet. Betting Insight today on SBRpicks.com. Thanks for watching. Have a good weekend.